Welcome back to Improvision Entertainment. My name is Hunterman, and this is Euro Truck Simulator 2. And I am going to be continuing the news for September September the 12th, 2022, which would be 2 days ago from when I am, but who knows when it is from you in the future. I almost said spoiler warning. Trigger warning for the news in case the news is upsetting to you.
Nobody's going to argue against that kind of cultural assimilation. But
the number
and continuity, it'll be right where the last episode ended.
Show, usually in a similar context, is amazing. Like, it's the first thing your head goes to. Doner kebab. Let's mention the doner kebab.
Look at me. Are you surprised? Okay, but seriously.
Okay.
But look, on the other hand, a lot of old school cultures, definitely not just Turkey, but yes, sometimes Turkey. Not here in America, because mainly
we have almost enough for a whole nother
wind up coming here,
drivers,
engineers, just because of the vagaries of immigration law. But in Germany,
and it is raining, so I got to look out for that.
Turks that are poorer and needed a job and drove to Germany, and so they're from the old school, and they would beat their kids. And it's okay for a country to say, no, we don't do that here. And you have to follow our laws. And so to me, saying, I got a cultural defense, we beat him at home, so I can beat him here. No, you have to follow the laws of the country that you're in, okay?
Yeah.
At the same time, killing off your entire culture makes no sense at all. It'll enrich the country that you're in now. So for God's sake, balance.
Well, let's move on to... All right, I'm going to drop it. All right, I can't help it. I'm going to say one more thing.
She can't help it. One more thing.
You guys understand, right, what the prevalence of violent crime does to a voter's state of mind, especially when these elections come up. Just something to keep in mind as huge portions of the left continue to completely minimize the reality of violent crime in America. It puts us at a disadvantage if we pretend like it's not happening. We have to address it, and we have to address it in a robust way that ensures that we direct the country in the area, in the place that we want it to go when it comes to criminal justice reform. Otherwise, if all citizens get from the left is messaging that minimizes the reality and no real solution,
that guy went super slow off the
look to the
on-ramp.
right wing, which I
off
don't
ramp.
want. When it
on
comes
and off
to
ramp.
no criminal justice reform, and essentially allowing that pendulum to swing right back to the tough on crime mass incarceration policies. We need to avoid that. So I think that what happened in Sweden is foreshadowing, but I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for even saying that. I know.
No, I'll go further. First, back to the doner kebabs. No, I'm kidding. All right, so listen, guys. Ilhan Omar nearly lost an election in a very blue district in Minnesota because she was for defund the police. You can say, oh, I'm mad at you for saying that. Oh, facts suck, okay? But that's just a stone cold fact. So, and here, the left...
What is with the frame rate today?
Maybe the most progressive country in the world, certainly among the most progressive in the world, and no one would doubt that, is about to lose to a party that was formerly neo-Nazi because of
uprising. All right, we're going to get one more truck.
And it's not complicated
because we just got some money coming in.
Because voters vote based on
interrupting what we're doing, but that's fine.
And
what we're doing is making money.
Threat to their safety.
And it's good that these people get trucks and level up and start making money for me.
Really
so that the money is just astronomically crazy.
At some point, they're going to go right wing. And then, of course, there's going to be an overreaction, and they're going to do dumbass things like mass incarceration for jaywalking.
I'm dropping frame rate in the menu, Streamlabs.
So we're trying to head that off at the pass by saying
explosives.
Let's do logical reform, logical criminal justice reform, and police reform, and judicial reform, so we don't go to these extremes by enabling the right wing by pretending that that problem doesn't exist.
Absolutely. All right, we unfortunately have to take another break, so let's do that. When we come back, we'll give you.
You guys can let me know in chat or
flooding in Pakistan
on
and
YouTube later.
We'll also talk about a.
If you don't want me to interrupt my driving for
now regretting that because she
getting
needed an abortion. That story and more coming.
New equipment and new drivers because it does interrupt the flow of the drive, but like I think it's part of the experience, but this game is going to take me so long to complete that even if you see this way in the future when it goes live on YouTube,
For the doner kebab reference,
it's
because we all have benefited from the rejection of a
I read all the
simulation,
comments
#Canada.
on YouTube.
Okay, that's hilarious. But he's not the only one. Okay.
And again, streaming on
what else we got here?
twitch.tv/Huntermun.
Warthog Dragon in the member section says, Jank, doner kebab made it all the way to Australia, and we love it. Look, Anna, the people are talking, and they're talking about doner kebab. I'm just saying, okay?
I like kebabs.
Of course, everybody loves it. Okay, Mickey C. the Silver-Haired Dragon says, before coming here, I watched Fetterman's latest campaign ad. It was just a compilation of the Lizards of Oz's snake oil ads. I didn't know that he pushed so many different life-changing fake meds. Yeah, I know, it's super embarrassing. Speaking of Turkish cultural things that didn't work, Dr. Oz and his snake oil. So, look, guys.
Okay. Gotta be careful because video game-wise, it is raining.
Democratic Party that you don't have to be pathetically weak when running an election, and they're genuinely surprised. They're like, "Whoa, he's strong, and the world hasn't exploded. What? Can we be strong too?" Now, so you got Gavin Newsom pretending to be strong in California. Fetterman is a sea change. He's making a huge difference. So I love it.
I hope he wins, but historically, not a lot of chance. We'll see.
Very useful perspective on Sweden's elections. Having followed developments on and off for years since living there as an exchange student, this kind of coverage is invaluable. I could do with a deep dive like this on international developments regularly. Thanks. Wow, look at that. Thank you. You guys are so wonderful to us. I really, really appreciate it. Mythos Reality says, what does Sweden and Joe Manchin have in common? Their definition of the word Democrat. Funny. That is genuinely funny. Right. Okay, nice job.
Exit right. Put my drink down.
I would bet my professional reputation that America has almost a complete intelligence picture.
I'd rather take damage to the truck than flip over.
Of the battle space and is sharing it with Ukraine. Ukraine did not make this offensive blindly. This was no trap, I assure you. No, guys, I know.
I could not have possibly stopped for that intersection.
No, my point is, there's no question Russia's withdrawing and Ukraine is going forward within their own territory. But Russia could be withdrawing to launch bombs from Russia. And so, but you might be right that we might even have intelligence that shows us they're not gearing up for that, so we're not worried about it.
That's what I get for not paying attention. I was just thinking that the road's supposed to be gray right now.
Irene says, defense contractors...
Not calculating that I was going to be going off the road. Oh, wait, is this going through the one town that I marked on the map? I think it might be.
And funniest audience in the world. Back on the Young Turks. Jank, Anna, plus news.
Let's do it. Let's start with this.
And then
cutting that too close.
Just unbelievable.
I have real trouble
rain,
driving in Europe's rain.
Downpour, sheets of rain. Pakistan this year received something like almost 200% of its average monsoonal rainfall in the period of 3 months.
There's absolute devastation in Pakistan where 1/3 of the country remains underwater a week after the country was ravaged by the deadliest floods the country has ever seen. Now, nearly 1,400 people have already died, 13,000 people have reportedly been injured, and millions have been left homeless since an unprecedented monsoon started in mid-June. Now, there were also destructive floods in the country back in 2010, but this time around the situation is even worse and has been fueled by the climate emergency. In fact, 2 million acres of farmland has been completely destroyed, and tens of millions of Pakistanis need humanitarian relief right away. There's also some other evidence of the climate emergency in Pakistan, as is usually the case when it comes to some of the poorer countries around the world.
Sliding out of the lane.
For instance, there are glaciers in Pakistan that have begun to melt, creating these lakes, and the infrastructure in Pakistan can't withstand those bodies of water, and so that's also fueling some of the floods that we're seeing in Pakistan. In this video, you'll get a better understanding of just how the climate emergency has contributed to this extreme weather event. Let's watch.
I just realized the steering wheel is blocking my ability to see my RPMs.
A warmer climate means that you have more intense rainfall, and also a warmer climate means that glaciers are more likely to melt and collapse quicker. Both of those things came together in this tragic event in Pakistan.
The South Asian monsoon pattern descends on Pakistan each year between June and September. Normally, it brings much needed rains after summer, but research shows the annual monsoons are getting wetter and more dangerous because of climate change. Between June and August this year, Pakistan received nearly 3 times the 30-year average rainfall for this time of year, and meteorologists are warning there is more rain on the way.
So, Cenk, it's just been absolutely devastating, and the UN chief, Antonio Guterres, makes a great point in that it's really incumbent upon the wealthier nations to provide relief to countries like Pakistan, which of course has been ravaged by the consequences of climate
making
change.
me money.
And it's the rich countries that have contributed to climate change, not the poor countries that absolutely need our help. We'll go to his statement in just a minute, but I wanted to give you a chance to weigh in.
Yeah. So, here in America, we have to remind people.
I didn't get a fine for hitting that
things
truck,
like,
weirdly.
hey, climate change is real. 99% of the world's scientists aren't lying, because as we were talking earlier in the show about
Took that turn
the Russian
too
government
quick.
does propaganda through its media and has convinced the Russian citizens that they are fighting Nazis in America and Ukraine when those are just fiction.
All right,
total
this is
fiction.
all my bad right now.
And here in America, our media has convinced us that, hey, Republicans could be right, Democrats could be right. Can't quite tell. It seems like probably 99% of the world's scientists aren't lying.
Now
We're
the
not
rain is
sure,
coming to an
okay?
end.
So the rest of the world is perfectly aware of it and unfortunately living under this problem. So Pakistan has 220 million people. 32 million were displaced by the flood. Imagine if in America, 32 million people were displaced. Where the hell would we put them? I mean, let alone the thousands who are dead. But here in America, we have another problem. If it doesn't happen here, we don't care. We don't give a damn at all, right? So now what Pakistan is saying is what a lot of countries are saying. But wait a minute, we didn't create climate change. We didn't benefit from climate change. We know who did. The largest countries in the world and their corporations. Exxon, Chevron, BP, you name it. By the way, also Russian oil companies and Chinese coal companies. They got all of the profits. But now Pakistan, that is certainly way, way poorer than those countries, has to pay for an unbelievable record-breaking cleanup and have all of these dead civilians. And they're like, well, why are we paying for it? You guys made the profit. Why don't you pay for it? And honestly, that makes a ton of sense.
It does, and I appreciate that the head of the UN is making that case. So with that said, why don't we take a look at the next video?
Large swathes of farmland in Pakistan have been destroyed. Millions have been displaced. Pakistan says it alone cannot deal with this disaster, which is being blamed on climate change. And with the UN chief Antonio Guterres visiting Pakistan, many are hopeful that more help will arrive.
Pakistan needs massive
we got construction?
financial support to respond to this crisis that have costed, according to some estimate, about $30 billion and counting.
Luckily, there wasn't a cop parked there.
And that support is entirely necessary, and it is not a matter of solidarity, it's a matter of justice.
Yeah, so that's the right word to use. It's a matter of justice and trying to provide the funding to, not make up for the damage caused to the environment by the wealthier countries. It certainly wouldn't make up for it, but this humanitarian aid is so desperately needed. I should also note that this is all taking place in Pakistan with the backdrop of political instability and an economic crisis. So Pakistan is experiencing economic freefall. It is very likely that the country will default on its loans. So there's some concern about that. And as I mentioned, Cenk, we're talking about 2 million acres of agricultural lands that have been destroyed as a result of this flooding, people who have been displaced because their homes have been destroyed. It really is incumbent on some of these wealthier nations to provide relief to Pakistan. And the political instability, I should note, has been going on for some time, especially considering the fact that their leader had to step down recently and is being charged by charged through their anti-terrorism laws. I mean, we can get into that a little bit, but it's just a complete and utter disaster in Pakistan as we speak.
Yeah. So look, guys, let's clarify a couple of important things. Who's we that we speak of? So because if you're sitting in Nebraska, you might be thinking, wait a minute, I didn't profit from any oil companies. Why am I paying Pakistan's bill? Okay. And by the way, the right wing here in America will take advantage of that and stoke that fire, right? Okay, great. I have a perfect solution. Ooh, then why doesn't the companies that created climate change pay for it? Why am I paying for it? I'm with you, brother, in Nebraska. I didn't do it. I didn't make any money off of it, right? So I don't know why the governments have to pay. Why doesn't Exxon pay? No, it's a real question. That's an externality of their business, Anna, right? So if they have, every business has costs and revenue. They're keeping all the revenue, but they're unloading all their costs on us, American people, Pakistani people. Why are we letting them? It's insane.
Yeah, no, you make such a great point because honestly, Cenk, it's so incredible because I'm so used to we, the taxpayers, paying for the failures of US-based corporations and multinational corporations. That like it didn't even occur to me that that was a possibility. Like that's the kind of conditioning we get not only from our politicians but from the corporate media, right? Like the idea of the very companies and corporations that have contributed the most to the climate emergency paying for the damage that they've caused is inconceivable. And that is the greatest injustice. And we keep seeing it happening over and over again. It's always the poorest countries that suffer the biggest consequences of the damage done by these profit-seeking corporations. And we need to push for justice. I don't think that ordinary people should have to pay for the damage that's been caused by these companies.
Look, I'll say my usual point here at the end. Why have you never heard of the idea of the corporations that profited from climate change paying for just simply the costs of climate change? It's their product that costs all of us this money. Why do we have to pay it instead of them, right? The reason you've never heard that idea is because most of the media in America are also corporations.
Yes.
So these corporations are all protecting each other, and they're never.
And their
gonna tell you
advertisers,
the
their
super
owners,
obvious points,
are the big
because most of those folks
fossil
are
fuel
their
companies.
advertisers and funnel a part of the proceeds back to the media for propaganda instead of news.
All right,
Exactly.
that's what I said.
Well, let's go back to the United States. We've got some more news on domestic-related matters, including the continued anti-abortion movement. Let's get to that.
If the fetus develops to term, that fetus will deliver and ultimately that baby will suffocate and pass away.
Kaylee's doctor was clear.
I gave you
When he's born,
trigger
he's
warning
going
about
to
the
suffocate
news.
to death. He may live for a few minutes, he may live for an hour, but he is going to die.
Her doctors said they could not perform an abortion, noting in her records termination is not legal in the state of Texas.
I remember her saying, you know, the course of action that I would have taken with a patient a year ago would be to advise them to terminate. She said that is the safest course of action for you, and it's the most humane course of action for him.
The young
I didn't
lady
realize
you
this
just
was gonna
heard
have me go
from
through
is
in a
Kaylee
loop,
Despain,
but
who
all right.
desperately needed an abortion after learning that the fetus she was carrying had severe abnormalities. And not only did the fetus have severe abnormalities, bringing that fetus to term also meant that she was at a heightened risk of all sorts of complications that could impact her own health and even end her own life. But Kaylee lived in Texas, and I should also note, she and her husband used to be anti-abortion, anti-choice, until 2016. At least that's what they allege. Now, I say that because it's real easy to think of things in the abstract and think of yourself as a good person when you're, you know, stripping other people of their rights in an effort to, in your mind, protect life. But as Kaylee and her husband learned, that's not always the case. And she had to travel outside of Texas in order to get a potentially life-saving abortion. Now, the fetus she was carrying had all sorts of issues, including an extra set of chromosomes, a severe brain defect, a severe heart defect, and the fetus's lungs were too small. They weren't developing correctly. Now, here is Kaylee describing how her own life would be in danger if she was forced to carry this fetus to term. Now, if she stayed in Texas, she would be forced to. And again, it would have endangered her life. Let's watch.
Dijon
Carrying him
discovered.
to term could have put Kaylee's life in danger. She was at high risk
On
for
voyage,
several
19 of
potentially
31.
deadly pregnancy complications, blood clots, preeclampsia, and cancer because of an abnormal placenta. Texas law allows for abortion if
Running
the
the
mother
red
has a
light, running the red
life-threatening
light.
physical condition that places her at risk of death or substantial impairment. But Texas lawmakers haven't spelled out exactly what that means.
They're extremely vague. They don't spell out exactly the situations when an abortion can be provided. I would say it's the opposite. They're extremely restrictive and broad. They threaten criminal penalties against physicians. They threaten to take someone's medical license away.
Yeah, they threaten to take doctors' medical license away. They are also threatened with legal action. And so what ends up happening is people, or doctors, I should say, medical professionals who previously provided abortions are now afraid to provide abortions even if they believe the woman's life is in danger. The litigation is costly, as you know, Cenk. So it's something that they're not willing to take a risk on. And so women who desperately need it, even in cases to save their lives, are being denied that care.
All right, let's
as a
see. Do I want to
result
stop
of the
here in this
effective
town?
abortion ban in the state of Texas.
Yeah, as usual, there's a couple.
There's
of
not a
issues
rest
here.
area
First,
nearby, so I guess
on
I'm
the
stopping
doctors.
here.
Think about it, guys. The doctors can get life in prison, and so they write a vague statute and they say, well, if the life of the mother is in danger, maybe you won't get life in prison. But we're going to nitpick your decision in hindsight. So if she's bleeding
Well, this
out
is
on
a
the table,
problematic
probably
entry.
you won't get life in prison. But if you say that she could die of complications, and every doctor agrees, well, we don't know that she would have had those complications. You did an abortion.
Too sharp.
You're going to prison for the rest of your life. So now think about what that creates. The doctors
No,
oath
not
is
Game
to do
Grumps.
no harm, but now you've created a divergence of interest between the doctor and the patient. The doctor might think
What did
the
I
best thing
snag
for the
on?
patient is definitely an abortion because her
little
chances
half-wall?
of dying have gone up dramatically. But that is not the best thing for me.
At least it's not an articulated
Because if I
trailer.
do the abortion, I might go to prison for life, even if it was the right thing. So I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't risk that for myself or my family. And that's very fair, right? I understand what the doctors are thinking. So now you've made it so the doctors and patients are not on the same team. Because big government has come in with its government
Excuse me?
tyranny and said, you're not allowed to make decisions for your own body anymore. We have literally snatched
the rest
your
area?
body and taken your choice away from you. And the doctor, we've taken away your
Crash offense.
true recommendation
Oh, fuck off.
and actual life-saving procedures, and we're telling you, don't do those because we find those life-saving moral. So you must do the thing that we find to be moral, which is let that person die, potentially. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, so real quick to respond to that, Cenk.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what could go wrong, right? What could go wrong where the opinion of medical professionals
Well, this is
falls
taking
by
more
the
time than
wayside,
expected.
and the political ambitions of politicians
Can I only rest in that
Texas
one
reign
parking space
supreme?
that guy is parked in?
I mean, the Texas politicians are clearly the better experts on what is best for pregnant
Well, that's annoying.
women in the state of Texas, right? I mean, it's just so incredibly stupid, especially when you consider the idiocy of
All right,
our
you can't.
lawmakers, both
Even
on
though
the
it looks
state
like you
and
could
federal
rest
level.
over there, that is
Yeah,
a
and now we get
warehouse
conservatives.
or
So it's a
a.
mixed bag. So easy to beat up on conservatives in this story, but remember these two.
So
were
I can't
conservatives.
actually
And
pull in there
so,
because it's inside of a.
and so I think there's
building,
two different kinds of conservatives.
the rest area.
Ones that are hardwired and ones that are cultural conservatives. So what do I mean by hardwired? And I think those are the folks who are like, look, man, I'm gonna protect my own, and everybody else can go pound sand. I don't care about them. I don't care about people from other countries or from other towns or people that don't look like me. I don't even want them. I'm afraid of outsiders. I don't like them. I'm just going to protect my family and my church, and I'm done with it, right? So that is a hardwired conservative, in my opinion. Cultural conservatives are ones that lived in a town or jurisdiction or state where that is the predominant way of
I knew this was
thinking.
going to be hard to get out
So
of,
they
but
think
like.
they're conservative because they were taught that. They were taught, hey, if they don't look like you, they're not in your religion. They might be satanic, they might be this, they might be that. They're the boogeyman, don't like them, okay? And hey, religion says take away women's rights and take away gay rights. So that is the moral thing to do. And if you grow up your whole life thinking everybody you knew told you that was the moral thing to do, don't be a bad person, make sure you hate gay people, make sure you take away women's rights. You might think that that's the right thing to do. And so either way, when something happens to a conservative, for the first time, they realize, oh, that takes away my rights too. Okay, no, I'm not in favor of that. There's this legislator who did a great speech in South Carolina who's a Republican.
Who went back on it. Please stop referencing him. South Carolina is not great.
Against these laws that they're passing on abortion to her fellow Republicans saying, you guys don't know anything about women. And you
Oh wait,
tell me how to
a
regulate
woman?
my
I'm sorry, I
body?
missed that there was a
Are you
woman
nuts? You don't know anything about
at all
miscarriages.
in
You don't
government
know
in South
anything about how
Carolina.
we deal
That
with
isn't
our
Nikki
doctors,
Haley.
and you're gonna come tell me how
Wasn't.
to live my life when I thought we were for freedom, right? But she does that on only issues that affect her because she's a conservative.
That's exactly right. I love that you brought that up. And one other thing I want to mention is that, we're talking about a couple in Texas that had the resources necessary to travel to New Mexico specifically in order to get a potentially life-saving abortion. And the resources I'm talking about, of course, money, yes, but they didn't have the money themselves. They had family members who they had to reach out to, and luckily their family members lent them.
We're gonna
literally
repair because we've
thousands
taken
of
some
dollars.
damage on this
Remember, they had
run.
to pay for the travel in addition to the abortion. Texas has banned private health insurance companies from covering abortion, and so most policies don't cover it anyway. And so they literally needed thousands of dollars, and they were able to obtain those resources from family members. Think about all the people living in Texas right now who don't have those resources, who don't have family members who are willing to lend them or can't lend them thousands of dollars so they can go get a life-saving abortion. So exactly what we predicted would happen is happening, where certain people with certain resources are able to
Is this town misprogrammed?
mitigate the ramifications
Do
of
none of the
these
rest stops
draconian
work?
anti-women laws. But a lot of people, especially those living in poverty, an increasing number of Americans, in fact, are not going to have those opportunities. And it is disgusting that we have a political party who has fought so aggressively to strip women of their bodily autonomy this way.
Yeah, and they said that, I mean, look, they could afford it only because they had family and friends that could help them, but they're hurt, dog. Don't ask them if they're all right, because conservatives are not immune from normal economic forces in this country. They're also getting low wages. They also don't have health care. So they had to borrow the $3,500 for the operation from what Cade, the husband, described as the epitome of a Trump fanboy. But you know how he convinced them? He appealed to his conservative nature, which is protect those in your immediate vicinity, right? And by the way, look, I don't like the conservative nature of fighting against the others, but I like that they want to protect their own. That's a good thing. And Cade had a great quote that I loved. He said, and this is how he convinced the Trump fanboy to give him the money. He said, my job as a husband is to protect and love my wife. If I'm not fighting to keep her here, then I failed. And the Trump guy was like, all right, guy, you get the money. Okay. So, but guys, if
I remember him saying something along the lines of, I don't want to be a widower at 35.
Why can't you see it for everyone else?
Because he's going to lose the
that
kid.
could have killed her.
If you want to count
easily,
the kid as a kid.
that fetus.
He's going to lose the
and
kid.
Every doctor agreed it had no chance of survival. What are we doing?
And it might kill the
and
wife.
Mom said she at the end she was absolutely clear she needed to do it. She even thought about bringing it to term, and so that it could die in her arms, because they're so desperate for a baby. She's had 4 miscarriages. They're pro-life. They really, really want a baby, right? But she said she didn't want her baby dying, gasping for breath. Don't do this to women. This is crazy.
What
You
now?
gotta turn
5
around
damage
and
on the
get rid of her.
trailer. Stupid barrier thing.
A brief break. When we come back for the second hour of the program, we'll show you some highlights, and they are highlights, of Lauren Boebert's debate with her Democratic opponent. Don't miss it. We'll be right back.
This trip has not gone as planned. Also, I think I need to start the next video. I do. Oh, that's as small as I can make that. Alright. Make sure I can see
Back
chat.
on TYT, Jake, Anna, and King. The King is here. Someone with that handle, just hit the join button below on YouTube. We appreciate it. We do this show together. Everybody else, tyt.com/join. Casper, what's next?
Well, Lauren Boebert debated her Democratic opponent finally, and did not do so well.
Oh, that's good.
Here's the deal. In Washington, D.C., the problem is there's not enough of me.
There's not enough of me? Why is there's that clip muted?
Agree to disagree. That was Lauren Boebert finally agreeing to debate her Democratic opponent. This is the one and only debate that she has agreed to. And if you watch the debate for yourself, you could probably understand why she seems to be allergic to having these debates. The entire time she decided to address Nancy Pelosi. She was like shadow boxing Nancy Pelosi, when in reality the person that she was supposed to debate is a self-described conservative Democrat by the name of Adam Frisch. And I think what you're about to see proves what I'm saying. Here is a compilation of Lauren Boebert debating the wrong person.
Get ready to run. Nancy Pelosi is running a con game in Washington, D.C. Nancy's con game works like this. Fire Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's...
I'm Adam Frisch. I'm not Nancy Pelosi. I'm Adam Frisch. I'm not Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi plays, and it with Pelosi's con game. Pelosi pushes this, but she will put a 2,000-page bill on our desks at midnight. Nancy Pelosi's con game, playing Nancy's con game to do it. DC to play Nancy Pelosi's con game. It makes me terribly sad when Nancy Pelosi uses the think it meant
How many times did you say Nancy Pelosi? Damn, girl.
China, and Pelosi knows it. Pelosi's con games. This was a blank check, and
Okay, I'm Adam Frisch. I'm not Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, for real.
I just love it. Like Nancy Pelosi, she expects us to read legislation before we vote on it. She puts legislation on our desk and she expects us to read it. Can you believe that? I mean, it was just a disaster. And you know it's a disaster when, again, you're not addressing the actual issues that are being asked for you to address. You're just shadowboxing the Speaker of the House instead.
Yeah. All right, here comes a shocking twist. I don't fully agree. Okay.
Well, you're wrong, but it's okay. Continue.
Okay,
You can
so
make your argument.
all right. Well, I appreciate you allowing it. Okay, so number one, she said you need more of me in Washington. Now, of course, I disagree with that. I'm totally against her and her policies. But what she means is you need more lunatic conservatives like me. And she genuinely believes that, and probably her voters believe that. Okay, yeah, I don't see the problem. So when AOC says you need more people that vote like me, I totally agree. So that's not the issue. The issue is which way do you vote? Number two, is she really wrong for saying she's running against Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah,
because
she is.
No, but hold on, Anna. Conservative Democrats will vote with Nancy Pelosi 100% of the time. Well, to be fair, not 100, 98% of the time. The other 2%, they'll vote with the Republicans against them, right? They'll be even more right-wing than her. So, okay, he could argue, look, no, that 2% of the time, I'll vote with you, Lauren Boebert. But I think it's fair for a conservative or a progressive to say, yeah, if it's a corporate Democrat, they basically are Nancy Pelosi.
I guess fair. I mean, if you want to make that argument, fine. But remember, a debate is very rarely about substance. It's about optics. And so if she is attempting to make the case that she is a far better candidate, I mean, she's the incumbent, of course, but that she's a far better candidate than the Democrat running against her, she needs to explain why. And she did a terrible job doing that, right? Like, she didn't address many of the issues asked of her. I think Adam Frisch actually did a pretty good job in calling her out in regard to what she votes against and then ends up campaigning on. But before we get to that, there's one other thing that stood out that you seem to be supportive of, right? Which was, in the very beginning of the debate, she decided to call out the moderator. And we might have a difference of opinion here as well. So let's take a quick look at that. And by the way, one other thing I'll say before we go to that video.
Okay.
Listen, it's politics 101. When you're gonna debate your opponent, you do oppo research and you debate your opponent. And it seems
Hi,
like
Night
she
Morphus.
did no homework.
And
It
at
seemed
the
like
moment,
she
I think
used
you are,
this
chat.
debate
How you doing?
as another campaign stop to rail against the corporate. By the way, she doesn't say corporate Democrats. She loves corporate politics.
Oh, I got a speeding violation. Well, I guess I'll just keep going.
Campaign stop to attack the Democratic Party.
I'm over 40% map complete, so I'm 2/3 of the way to the first map
And
achievement.
he is addressing issues that are being asked of him, like what would you do when it comes to
Where's
water
this
insecurity,
cop that
for
dinged me?
instance? And instead of addressing that, right, how she differs from this Democrat sitting next to her or standing next to her during this debate,
Oh,
she just goes after Nancy
there have been a
Pelosi.
couple
I just think
additions
it
to the poll.
optically looks
It's the
incredibly
same
weak.
poll, Night
Now,
Morphus, but
logically, what you're
I don't know if
saying,
you're interested
okay,
in,
I
like,
guess you make a decent point
the Batman
about
game Gotham Knights or
how
anything like
Democrats
that.
are usually incredibly
Like, that's on the
loyal
poll
to
now.
Nancy Pelosi,
So just putting that
certainly
out there. You can use
conservative
the same
Democrats.
link to
But
change your
I
vote.
just don't think that it looks good optically when
Or
she's
says,
attacking Nancy Pelosi.
sweating as
when
they release
her
a new
opponent is
Skylines
right next to
DLC and
her. She's, like,
obviously
not really making a
broke
case
a
for
lot of
why
mods working
she's
on it
not
right
the
now.
person
Ah.
to serve Colorado's 3rd district.
I think
So
I'm
with that
2
said, let's
expansions
go to the
behind
next
on
video, because this is
on
how
Skylines.
the debate began.
But this last one, with all the like walkable locations and the free additional roads that are coming in,
Please disclose any other roles
yeah,
that you have had with Democrat
I want to do another crowd control run because that was pretty entertaining.
I recall giving any money to Diane
Not
Mitch
money, just
Bush.
support.
Come again?
Club 20, CMU, and the Daily Sentinel said that they want to provide a nonpartisan forum tonight. Now, isn't it true that you tweeted during the 2020 election, Rep. Mitch Bush, I've always been a supporter of yours?
And the other part of that tweet said that I took issue with something she had said relative to her
But you
position
did
on a
support
bill.
her, correct?
You know what?
Always.
This debate is not
I
about
believe
me,
that it's relevant
Congresswoman
because I think that
Boebert.
it's
Yeah, Anna, I'm telling you, man, I don't think she's wrong. So if I have a moderator in a debate that has kissed the ass of my corporate Democratic primary opponent, I'm going to point that out. And you said do Oppo research. There, she did Oppo research on the moderator.
Okay, but you just said kiss the ass of a corporate Democrat I ran against previously, which, by the way, she's bringing up a race from 2 years ago. But she didn't.
2
kiss
years
the
ago is the
ass
last
of
race, though,
Democratic
Anna.
Opponent to Lauren Boebert. She made that statement. Like, that statement was made in the context of a critique or criticism.
Oh, let
toward
me know
that
if you want me to
candidate,
turn the news off,
right?
by the way,
And
Night
of course,
Morphus.
Lauren Boebert intentionally left that out. But Jake, I want to ask you.
Are you
what
debating
do
going back to
suppose
Skylines because all your mods are
happened
going to
with
break?
debate
Because
moderators?
usually those
There are
mods get fixed
people
within like a week or
who
two.
also vote and also have
Happens
political
every time.
preferences. So what would the solution be? A moderator that's more friendly to Republican candidates? It just makes no sense.
No, but I just believe in truth and labeling. So if, like maybe that moderator didn't quote unquote kiss the ass of the Democrat, but did she support the Democrat? You could tell from her answers that she did, right? And that doesn't mean she should be disqualified from moderating, but it's helpful for the audience to know that.
98% of respondents in
look,
all
I
of my
was debating on
polls
Fox News,
never change their
and
votes.
Brett Baer pretended to be just a
That's why it's
straight
dangerous
newsman.
when I add
I wouldn't let him get away
selections
with that.
to
I'd
the
be like,
poll
no,
because
here's
people are
vote
unlikely
1,
to go
2,
back and
3.
vote
That
in a
shows,
poll they've
no,
already
you're totally
voted
a
in.
right-winger
And that's unfortunate.
masquerading as a straight newsman. I don't mind. I'll still do the debate. I don't mind
I mean,
moderating.
new
I'm not
stuff
gonna
tomorrow
let you pretend
morning.
that
You'd
you're
like to
neutral
play
because
it.
you aren't.
Just want to know what he can and can't use.
Why I have
Makes
very
sense.
little sympathy for Boebert, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I disagree with her politics, which of course I definitely disagree
I
with her
forget.
politics. For
Italy,
me,
Italy,
it's,
Italy. So
do you
you're
have good ideas or not? And when you have good ideas,
5 hours
it
ahead of
doesn't
me?
matter who the moderator is. Who the moderator
Is that right?
It doesn't matter who Nancy Pelosi is. It doesn't matter who your
I'm
opponent
UTC
is.
-4.
You have thought out, thought through solutions. You have data to
It's
back
nearly
up
midnight.
the
Okay, I can do
proposals
math.
that
Give me a
you're
second.
pushing for. I mean, look.
So you're 6
the
hours ahead
debate
of me.
with Ben Shapiro was before the Pennsylvania Chamber of Commerce, and it was moderated.
So when I
by
see
a
you, okay,
right-winger.
that's what I figured. So when I see you streaming at 3:30 in the morning, you're actually streaming at 9:30 in the
I
morning.
just want everyone
Okay.
to know that I'm in unfriendly territory, and I'm a big victim here. And no, let me tell you what my ideas are. Let me come at this from a left perspective and defend my views because I know they're right.
I kind of wish
I guess the thing with Lauren Boebert
there was
that,
a
like,
movement
rubs me the
to,
wrong way is right from
unify
the get-go,
time
because she doesn't have good
across the
ideas, because
globe.
all she does is lead
And I guess there
into
kind of is if
endless
everybody just did
nonsense
UTC.
manufactured culture wars. She just decided to make herself out to be a victim in the very beginning. So when she
But that's
failed
partly
during the
because,
debate,
or
the
largely
right wing can
because,
point to
my
whatever factor
all
they
my
wanna
sleeping
point to for
conditions
why
make
she
it so I don't
No, she
have a
failed
normal
because she
day
doesn't have
period like
anything to
many people
provide,
do.
the people voting for her in Colorado's 3rd congressional district.
I don't know where that
Okay,
speeding
now you
violation
do
came
my
from,
fourth
but I
and
don't
fifth
really
defense of
care
Lauren
anymore. I'm
Boebert
making
in
too much
this
money.
So, okay, so she wants
Lots
to
of-
set up
lots
an
of
excuse
construction.
for failing in the debate, and Republican voters will buy into it 100%. Well, then it's good strategy.
I mean, you know,
No,
that's
I'm
what
being
fines
totally
exist for,
serious.
right?
So
For poor
the
people.
minute that the
Anything
Republican
that's like a
voters
couple of
and her-
$100
and her district is
when you're
majority
making like,
Republican,
I think I'm
solidly
making
majority Republican,
1.5
give the
million a
moderator
day
at some
in
point
euros
agreed
in this
with a
game right now.
Democrat, they're not going to listen
Like,
to the rest of the debate.
what do
They're
you
gonna vote for
care
her.
losing $500 there
And
because
if
you were
you're a
10 miles
candidate,
over the speed limit?
Smart strategy. Okay, now defense number 5.
That's the whole thing about being a rich person. It's
no
not
one's gonna
caring
watch
about
this
little
debate,
fines.
Other than you, Anna, because you actually care, right? They're going to see sound bites. Again,
Like,
politics 101. It's
don't
true,
park between these
right?
hours and these
So
hours
everything
outside
she
of a
says
building
is
is
a
just,
soundbite.
well,
And
this
it's a
is rich
soundbite
people
against the
parking.
thing that
That's all that
triggers
is. That's rich
that
people parking.
particular electorate in that district, which is Nancy Pelosi. So now, how would I counter that? I would tell that guy, instead of defending yourself and trying to do like a Oxford debate, you just get in there, roll up your sleeves, and say, well, obviously, since Lauren Boebert voted with or agrees with Donald Trump 100%, and I invite her to tell me that she doesn't agree with Donald Trump, she agrees with stealing nuclear secrets. So, Lauren Boebert, if you see classified information, are you also going to steal it and bring it to your house? And I can give you 200 other examples of how I would crush her.
I kind of feel bad. I
Or
love City
somebody.
Skylines, and
You
I
wanna
think I'm
play
pretty good
games
at
of,
it, but
oh,
like
I'm
the
Nancy
times I
Pelosi.
played it on
Okay,
stream,
then you're the
I get
orange
people
mustard
from
idiot,
Europe
right?
who are all like,
Hey,
Hunterman, you have a
Trump's
very
okay, 'cause
American-centric
he's a
way
moron.
of building your cities, like on
Are you also
grids
hiding your
and
face? Now, look, I know
doing
that I
complicated
get really
road layouts
you're not
first
on
and then
the
worrying about the buses and stuff later, and I'm like,
of Lauren Boebert's education.
well, I
but you
mean,
get my point. So if you're in the mud,
I don't know.
then okay,
I
Saturday
do it
for
in
you.
stages
We're in a mud
usually.
fight, 'cause that's, you don't have the
I start
luxury
very
of
American
doing
mindset,
intellectual
and
defense.
then
Well, at one portion
I
of the
move up
debate,
from
Adam
there.
Frisch, again, the
And I do
Democratic
like the
opponent,
grids.
decided to bring up the fact that Lauren Boebert
I like grids.
loves to go around campaigning on some legislative victories that she actually
But that's-
served as an obstacle for in terms of
It's
getting
hard to
them
justify
passed.
because
So
in the
here
state of
he
South
is
Carolina,
specifically
we
calling her
have
out on her refusal to vote in
absolutely
favor of
decimated
bipartisan
our
I will actually
green
not only
areas.
vote for infrastructure bills.
Like, we just
when
keep
the money shows up
chopping
here
down
and
all
it
the
can be passed around
trees.
on the flyer saying anything differently. The congresswoman had a flyer that was sent out to a lot of people in this audience and across this region, touting about 9 specific aspects of what she brought home, and she voted against every single one of those 9.
That
things
and
that were in the,
look, let's
were
be
in the
honest.
bill.
I love
And
City
it's important
Skylines,
for us
but
to
it needs a
realize
sequel,
it's
and
not
that
just
sequel
what you
needs
put
to
in the
be
flyer, It's what you actually do
more
in Congress in a bipartisan
analog.
manner. And we, again,
You need more
Congresswoman
plots
voted
that you
against
can
$5 billion
set up
of
that
infrastructure that was
the
gonna
buildings
go
don't have
roads,
set
bridges,
paths to the road, that they can
tunnels,
be
as well as
designated road entry points based on how you've designed the city. We need better tunnel systems and overpass designs, the ability to make cement drive-throughs that go underneath overpasses and stuff like that.
So in terms of the
It needs a
substance,
more
I think
intelligent
that he
way
did really
of
well. He's
trying
not-
to
you can tell he's
autocorrect
not
when
the
you
seasoned
delete a road that a
politician.
bus stop is
He's
on or
not
something
as
like that, and it
charismatic
just
as
freaks
he would
out.
like her opponent to be, but
Like,
he makes a really good point
City
there,
Skylines is
and I think that
amazing,
he threw a few
but it does
jabs
need
that,
it does
landed.
need a sequel at this point. I think it needs some
You
modern
have
tech.
Lauren Boebert from the get-go making herself out to be this poor little victim who's dealing with some extreme bias against her by the moderator, and then you have Adam Frisch constantly going back to the issues and, first of all, providing evidence for how Lauren Boebert has actually worked against the people of Colorado's 3rd District, and also just quickly mentioning how he would govern differently, how he would be a different legislator. But you're right, Cenk. I mean, we live
I don't know.
in
What do you think,
America
Night
where
Marcus? I didn't
everyone's
mean to just be
conditioned
like
not pay attention
on
to
a rant
anything that
talking over
matters.
Anna
we
here.
all love the salacious garbage. We all love the
Just trying to
manufactured
converse
culture
on what
war.
you were thinking
so
about,
who cares
like-
about actually fighting for policies that better people's lives?
I
Let's
think-
just talk about nonsense,
hold on.
Nancy Pelosi
I've got a
culture
curve.
war stuff. Sure.
I actually think they're
I mean, I wish it
releasing new
weren't so, but it
DLCs
is
just
so.
because they're not ready to
And in that
reveal
district, she's got a-
Skylines
remember,
2.
Republican voters have
I think
the
there's a
lowest
very
bar
good
in
chance
America.
that the next game is going to be Cities something
Herschel
else,
Walker's
not
going
Skylines
around,
2.
You can't understand a word he's saying. He's like, me.
But I hear you.
lollipop, Dishwasher, blender. And they're like, yeah. So when Boebert.
But I mean, it'll fund the next game, but like,
sentences,
I
they're
think
like,
they should
"Whoa, they
definitely
think she's a Rose
tap the
Scholar."
mods
So how do you
as
win
inspiration
in a
for what they
heavily
should
Republican
include
district
in the
against
next
someone
base
like Boebert?
game.
You have to
When
rhetorically,
SimCity 4, we're going back a ways here. All right, so
So
before
you
City
are still
Skylines, when
debating, I'm being a
SimCity
little unfair 'cause I only watched
SimCity
clips of it.
4
But this guy's playing patty cake.
pre-launch
So here's how
showed
you deal
off
with the
parking
infrastructure. Like, you don't
garages
get into, like,
and
minutia and blah, 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 and the
ways
number
of
Gs.
arranging buildings so
No,
that you could
say,
determine
look,
what
she
side
said that she
the
bought
parking
the
lot was
stone.
on and stuff like that.
That's not
Like that was all
true.
in
You know
pre-release
what that
SimCity
makes her?
4.
A goddamn liar.
But like,
Now, why do you say that?
we have parking garages. What parking garages came about in SimCity 4's one expansion pack, Rush Hour, as did one-way roads. But now we're in City Skylines, and like you still have to get mods to get parking garages. You still have to get mods to get making your own custom parking lots so that you can expand areas and things like that. And I realize some of that is inherently on some level bad city design because you're accounting for all the cars and the cars are not the answer.
Progressive Democrats can't say
But
things like that because the media will immediately say, "Oh, that is uncivil."
at the same time, like,
Everybody vote for Lauren Boebert, okay? Now I know the mainstream
like I
media
think
doesn't
there
like
should
Lauren
be
Boebert,
some sort
but
of
if
like
progressives are considered uncivil by 1%,
almost
the media will eviscerate them, okay? But a
almost
conservative Democrat can say anything he likes, and the
Based
media
on
will
what
like it.
evidence? Based
uh,
on what evidence?
like
Really? No,
what am I looking for here? Like Roller Coaster Tycoon style, where you can go into a mode and build an intersection.
And got animated as you're suggesting. You don't think he'd get
Because one of the
criticism
biggest problems
from
with City
corporate media?
Skylines, at least the closer you get to vanilla, I think,
So
is when you have to
number one,
rewire a
but
giant
even you
intersection
would
to
get
make it make
coverage
sense.
No matter what. If a progressive
And
says it, they don't even tell you who they're running
you don't
against, they
know
don't say anything. They just
through
say,
all your work
"Terrible,
if you've
terrible person."
quite saved enough money to be able to do it in
They're
one
much
go.
more open. So they might criticize him, but say, "But it is really true that she did not vote for the infrastructure."
I had
bill,
this idea
and
for
they really
a
screw over
video
her
game,
constituents, 'cause they're
a
not gonna
puzzle
let this do with
game
Nancy Pelosi.
that was all about
So,
rewiring
there's
intersections.
massive media infrastructure
When your
that
city
is
gets large and you have to put the money in to
you just have to draw their
like
attention
be able to revitalize your
Whereas
commercial
progressives
zones
don't
and
even
stuff
have
like
any
that.
hope. The
Like
media
just a
will
game that's just based on
eviscerate you
intersections.
and not give it
Because
any
when you get to a big intersection, right,
mad at conservative
you have to
Democrats
plan it
because
out
they
in
suck at it.
stages so that
They
while
use- they
you
have
are
a huge
creating
advantage
it,
to use
while
against
you are making temporary
Republicans, and they
paths,
just refuse to use it.
traffic continues to flow and not have all the roads shut off seamlessly or as seamlessly as possible while you are expanding the
If
intersection.
reelected,
But back to
Even if
cities,
their dream job of becoming a
like,
Fox News commentator
there should
comes up
be
prior
the
to
ability
that,
to make a full intersection with a big interface for like raising and lowering the height and changing things around and tweaking and twonking just how you want it. And then when all is said and done, hit like a check mark in the bottom corner, lock it in for however much it costs, and
serving as
only then does it
elected lawmaker,
save.
a public servant,
That
and
I would
your-
argue.
your
I think that would be
purpose is to
a
just
very
stay-at-home
cool
mom who also
addition.
raises goats. Go
But
raise
stuff
goats.
like-
I would love for her to go raise her goats.
You really can't play
But I love
City
that moment
Skylines if you're
because
doing like
it seemed
cool
like
technical
it caught
stuff
her off
with
guard, and there was
without
that
the lane
awkward
change
pause.
tool or that
Maybe
new
because
tool
it
that's
actually
like
is her dream
lets you
to
make
end up working at
custom
Fox.
slopes
So
on your
I
on ramps and
appreciate
your
that
off ramps and
moment.
stuff
But
like that.
Go ahead, Cenk. Tell me why that wasn't
Like,
strong enough.
there are so many good
This
mods,
one for Bobert.
and those should definitely be swiped,
My favorite part
made
of the
part
debate,
of the base
okay,
game, I
because
think,
she
in
pulled
a future
Biden
sequel.
I mean, there's that
Do it not
movie,
like The
you go to
Sims,
Dream
where you
Job,
basically start
starting
over
at Fox News, she's like,
from a base game every single time you start a new game,
Like,
or
and
less,
she-
like Sims
her
4.
facial expression there said, "How did he know?"
But make vanilla have
And I
an
think
advanced
Julia
mode,
Biden, because
basically.
When Kamala Harris said during the primary debates, you know, hey, you were for busing.
I think.
You were against busing.
I think you should
but
lean on
there's a little
advanced mode,
girl
because
who
I
got
think those are the
bused,
long-term
and
players,
that
like
was
me,
And
like you.
Biden didn't see it coming either, and he was like, right.
How did he not see that coming? It's
I
so
know.
true. In this case, I mean, I think there's good reason why Lauren Boebert didn't expect it. I didn't expect anyone to bring that up in the context of this debate, but look at that. Adam Frisch bringing something up, catching her off guard, Cenk.
All
You've been
right,
very
score
you've
one
been-
for Frisch.
You've been very unfair to Frisch. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, but you're right. I am the only weirdo who watched the entire debate this morning, and I don't know. Maybe I have such a strong bias against Lauren Boebert that my interpretation of how she performed is skewed by that bias. It's just, there's no substance with this woman, ever, 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 ever. It's not, and I'm particularly sensitive to politicians immediately pivoting to their
Okay.
culture war talking points.
So that's
And
how I got
what she
dinged on
did, the
speeding before, is
anti-immigration
apparently
stuff,
through that
you know,
interchange,
just the typical garbage you
drops
can
to 80
expect
from 90.
a Trumper in Congress. So it is what
Okay,
it is.
you know what?
All right.
Now you're gonna get me to do a sixth defense.
No,
No, okay.
actually,
I think we're
I know,
we're
and
almost
one
there.
last thing, Anna. She's
I
not
don't need
gonna
to
win
stop
on
again.
economic issues, as you've pointed out 1,000 times. Strategically, she's right to pivot to cultural issues that are going to play better in that district. And I don't want anybody to mistake what I'm saying. Politics and policy are different. Just because I thought she might have handled a debate politically well doesn't mean I agree with a single policy she has. All right, now the
All right, we'll be right back with more news, including Matt Gaetz being super gross.
Oh, good, Matt Gaetz.
All right, Washington, the Member Appreciation Week started today.
Bus on the side
I
of the
need you to
road.
Panic. So we're unveiling our all-new member-exclusive JR-inspired windbreaker. Woo! So you got to get your hands on the windbreaker. You got to be a member to tyt.com/join. If you're already a member, go to tyt.com/notice now to get the exclusive access.
All right, we are almost there, unless
Sorry, if you're not a
unless the
member,
off ramp
okay,
is turned off
but-
or something.
Oh, that windbreaker is badass. That's actually the first time I'm seeing it. That looks great. All right, so if you're a member, tyt.com/notice to figure out how to get the access to that windbreaker, and obviously to become a member, tyt.com/join. All right, and speaking of which, check out JR's show Watch List. That's noon Eastern, you guys know, 9
I don't
a.m.
know
Pacific every day.
well.
So youtube.com/watchlistyt. And
We've
speaking
gone
of
back
great
to
products,
That's okay.
Aspiration, is a wonderful sponsor. Aspiration.com/TYT. That is, you can find out your carbon footprint there. You could, most importantly, reduce your carbon footprint. In fact, you could make it zero. You can find out how at aspiration.com/TYT. And speaking of great shows, On Boss with Nina Turner, starting
One
October
damage.
17th. We need you to subscribe. It's free to subscribe at youtube.com/unbosstyt.
I really
We gotta
entered
get
that
to
way too
10,000
fast.
subscribers before the show starts so that more people can see it. So youtube.com/unbosstyt. Super easy to subscribe. Okay, now I'm going to members. Strategic Diversity Dragon says progressives
Strategic
have often
Diversity
been
Dragon.
harmed by lying corporate moderators of primary debates. This makes clear that moderators matter. The audience will see the moderator as neutral, and you only have so much time to respond and explain all the disingenuous framing. That's what we've been dealing with as progressives my whole life. That's why I didn't mind what Boebert did. Dragon with a Girl Tattoo says Boebert debating Pelosi was like Clint Eastwood debating in that empty chair.
Dragon with a Girl Tattoo. I like that one.
A little bit true, but you know, it's on Frisch in that case to fill out the chair. Infantry Chef says the problem with DC is that there's at least one of you, Lauren. Okay, that's from a policy perspective. Couldn't agree more. Jar of Jam Bongino writes in, and notice how you changed it. New drinking game. When a Republican says Nancy Pelosi during a debate against someone that is not Nancy Pelosi, you must drink. Quick way to get plastered if you watch the Boebert debate. Well, that's certainly true. Like that would have been literally dangerous to your health in that debate if you had done that drinking game. So Uriah Heep says,
why do I always drop frames when I'm coming to a stop?
Pregnancy simulator said to a 35 on a scale of 10, will it change their minds? No, but it'll be fun to watch them suffer.
I like the
That's an
flammable
old
markings
story
on the
we
back of
did
this truck.
about the period simulator and how guys couldn't handle it. And that goes to the point of the male legislators have no idea how it is to be a woman, and they're not trying to find out. They don't care at all. That's what the South Carolina Republican female legislator was saying, and she's right about that. All right, we'll be back. All right, back on TYT. Cenk, Anna, and Mark Ajayi. Mark just joined by hitting the join button below on YouTube. Anna, what's next?
Okay,
Let's talk a little
I
bit
think we're clear after
about,
this car.
Matt Gaetz' attempts at getting reelected because he's now fighting pretty dirty.
Mhm.
Congressman Matt Gaetz,
Allow me to
the
yield.
Republican pro-Trump lackey from the state of Florida, is being challenged by a Democrat by the name of Rebecca Jones. And if that name is familiar, there is good reason for that. She was embroiled in a controversy involving Ron DeSantis essentially firing her because she was accurately reporting COVID numbers in the state of Florida. Now, over the weekend, Gaetz decided to exploit Jones's autistic 12-year-old son in a pretty cruel campaign post. And Rebecca Jones fought back in a way that I would like to see most Democrats fight back. Now, first, let's give you the context. Here's the image that Matt Gaetz had tweeted. It was an attempt to kind of, or posted, I should say. It was an attempt to juxtapose a campaign event featuring, Matt Gaetz' supporters versus this picture of a Rebecca Jones event where you just see a young child with his head down on the table. And so he's trying to make a point about how popular he is, how she's not popular at all. But the person that you see in that post, the young child you see in that post, is actually Rebecca Jones's son. And here's how she decided to respond to that post.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Jones. I'm the candidate running against Matt Gaetz in Florida's 1st Congressional District, and I have some pretty disturbing news about something that he just posted. I took my son with me today, my 12-year-old autistic son, to help me man a booth at the Health Expo, which was in Fort Walton Beach. And Matt Gaetz apparently had someone take pictures of my 12-year-old autistic son while he was at the booth by himself and posted it, mocking him on Facebook. Now, I get that my son is about the same age as Nestor was when he started living with you, Matt, but if you haven't learned anything from when DeSantis raided my house at gunpoint, you don't with my kids. It was a nice ride.
Holy crap.
So she put out a pretty strongly worded video, which is, look, I gotta say, it's just rare to see Democratic candidates get ferocious like that, and so I appreciated it. But a few things to clear up before I go to you, Cenk. She mentions Nestor, which is a particularly embarrassing topic to bring up for Matt Gaetz, because Matt Gaetz alleged that he was the father of an immigrant.
Wait, what?
Right?
How am I
a
hung?
person of color. And it turned out that he was referring to Nestor, who was a Cuban boy that he took in when he was 12 years old, but he never adopted Nestor, and we never even heard about Nestor until he was like 19 years old, and Matt Gaetz mentioned him in a politically advantageous way. So it was just amusing to hear the name Nestor again, especially in this context. Jones
I'm just
also
doing terrible
had
today.
made a reference to Ron DeSantis raiding her home, and that absolutely did happen. Back in 2020, this is a story that we had actually reported on at the time. Her home was raided because the state alleged that she had done an unauthorized, she had accessed Florida's emergency alert
You can see
system,
it's the very
in an
corner of the
unauthorized
truck.
way to send out
Like
some sort
it's
of
barely,
text
it
to
barely
nearly
counts.
2,000 Floridians. She denies this, and she claims that it was a politically motivated attack because Ron DeSantis wanted to conceal the number of COVID cases in his state, and Rebecca Jones was the individual putting the official data out there. And so she believed that it was a politically motivated attack. Obviously, she was fired from her post. And so that is a case that continues to, go on. We don't know the exact details. She's still being accused by the state of Florida of accessing some of the computer systems in an unauthorized way. But anyway, with that clarification,
Well, I went this way to
thoughts
make
on
it
how she
easier on myself,
responded to
but
that attack from Gates.
Yeah, I loved it. Okay, see, that's how you grab media attention. And so do I know that Gates was personally stalking her 12-year-old son, or it was just a staffer that took a funny picture and had no idea that was her son? I don't know, and I don't care. You think Matt Gates cares? He doesn't care. He lies about everything. And so, and as I was watching Rebecca Jones' video for the first time, and she was saying, you can't go after my son, I thought, if I was her, I'd bring up Nestor. And then she said Nestor. I was like, oh my God, I love her. Okay, there you go. There you go. Finally, a Democrat that fights back. And guess what happened? Hey, we're all talking about it. Okay, that's how you do it. And why did Matt Gates take like a 12-year-old boy and bring him to his home that he wasn't related to? He later slept, according to the allegations, with underage girls. We don't know what's going on. Maybe it's a perfectly healthy relationship. But that's, that's a number of underage kids.
You bet I can park it.
reportedly stalked,
445
So,
1000. Huh. I should really look up what that is. One second. I've got a little cheat sheet over here to the side.
Child killers,
You bet I can
and
park it. You
pedophiles,
bet
et cetera, et cetera.
I can.
Goddamn right you hit back. Okay.
How about search
And,
up Windows, you
and
dumbass?
so, yeah, no, I loved it. I got it. I just want to
Collect
watch
1,000
more
XP
Rebecca
from
Jones.
parking on heavy
Well,
cargo
there's
deliveries.
a second half of the video, so I wanted to show you that. Let's take a look.
So why don't you come on down here, join me on the debate stage, and we'll see who's
That's
really
it?
the better candidate for Florida's first district.
Is it
And you can
consecutive?
stop
I'm gonna look
creeping
that
on
up
children and
in a
having
second.
pictures taken of them and then reposting them online when they're
All right,
sitting
for anybody
alone.
watching later on the YouTubes, I would like to thank you for watching. This has been Euro Truck Simulator 2, presented by Improvision Entertainment. I've been Hunter Munn, and I will see you in the future.